Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunday in the House. I'm Dwight, Moody, your host. What a dramatic week we have had. I want to talk a little bit about it. I want to bring you good news today about our donor campaign. And of course, we're going to start with our red letter lesson. I'm going to start with the scriptures today, but I hope all of it, our conversation, our study, the news. I hope it will inspire us, encourage us to be the kind of citizens we need to be the kind of friends, to be the kind of believers that we need to be. I am your host, Dr. Dwight A. Moody. Many of you have been with me every Sunday since we started, I think, 38 weeks ago. And I want to invite you and everybody, including those who are first-time people, to join our conversation on life, politics, and Jesus. So let's start first off with the scriptures. You probably can tell I'm in a new place here. I'm actually in my workshop. I have my workbench here behind me. I have a cousin, Sir Fenwick, with me here, and the banner, "Less Trump, More Jesus." You'd be surprised how many people talk to me about that slogan, how it summarizes exactly the way they feel. And as you know, this has been my slogan since we started, trying to bring some spirituality and sanity to this crazy political environment in which we are living. But I want to start today, go back to the text. You remember in our red letter lessons, we started, now back in January, talking about the political environment that Jesus had to deal with. And I tried to point out certain comments and markers about the political reality where he found himself that shaped what he thought and what he said and how he responded. And then we moved to a series on the prayers of Jesus in the Bible. We talked about this prayer, but I want to put it up on the screen again to point out a very important thing that is the burden of my teaching today. It was inspired by something that the governor of Utah said. I'll get to that in just a minute. But you all know the words of the prayer. It is, "Our Father," not "my Father, "our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread." I'm trying to point out the use of the word "we" and "us." This is what I am trying to draw attention to. Give us today our daily bread. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That's one of the most powerful lines in the prayer, deliver us from evil. The question I want to raise on all of this is about this use of the word me or we and us or them. The question I want to ask is, when we pray the Our Father and we say our Father, who is excluded from that word our? When we pray, "Give us today our daily bread," who are we including in that prayer? Who is praying this prayer with us? For whom is that line the deepest yearning of their soul? That's the question I want to ask. When we pray the prayer, "Do not lead us into temptation," but deliver us from evil. Who is the us? Is it just those of us in our little circle? Maybe we're praying this prayer at home with our family. Are we praying, is this a prayer just for our own family? Maybe we're praying this prayer in our church, as we do often on Sunday morning, as the majority of Christians around the world. We pray this prayer every Sunday morning in the sanctuary. Are we praying just for the people there? Are we praying just for the people who are members of our church or members of our denomination? In my case, all the Baptists, or maybe in your case, all the Catholics? Or are we praying for all Christians? Is this just a Christian prayer? This is the question I want to raise, because knowing who we are including and who we are excluding helps us to deal with this phrase, us versus them. This is a deadly dichotomy in our public rhetoric in America today. Now, let me give you this illustration. All of us have been watching all week this drama out in Utah. It has been a deadly thing. Most of the people that I've heard comment, and certainly this is my conviction as well, I give praise and gratitude to the governor Cox of Utah. He has been measured, he has been inclusive, he has been calm, he's been strong. He has done what leaders need to do this week. Speak to all of us, include all of us. But on, I believe it was Friday morning, in his press conference, when they were announcing the capture of the suspect, he made this confession. He said, I'll have to say that I have been praying very hard that this killer would not be one of us. That the killer would not be one of us. He went ahead to talk about, to imply that what he meant was somebody from Utah, maybe somebody who was a Mormon, that he wanted the killer to be one of them. And of course, many commentators, including straight from the Oval Office, before we even knew who the killer was, began to blame them, somebody other than us, somebody who believes otherwise, who lives somewhere else. This tension between us and them, and wanting to blame somebody else, not one of us, not somebody like us, but to blame somebody whose color is different, whose religion is different, whose country is different, whose status is different, to find somebody else to blame for our problems, whose sexual orientation is different, whose political party is different. This is behind what the governor said. I'll have to confess, I was praying the same thing. I suspect a lot of people were. There were a lot of people praying, I hope this killer is not a trans person. I hope this killer is not an undocumented person. I hope this killer is not a Black person. I hope this killer is not a liberal person. This is what everybody was thinking. But this tendency to break down the population into us and them is the one thing that is deadly in our country right now. When we talk about the dangers that our country faces, this is the biggest one. We have a lot of dangers. Climate change is a danger. Guns are a danger. Disease and pandemics are a danger. Natural events like fires and earthquakes and tsunamis, this is a danger. Drugs are a danger. But this is the biggest one. Wanting to always divide into us and them. This is the burden of my message today. So when I come back and read the prayer of Jesus and ask, who is Jesus including in this prayer? Who is Jesus excluding in this prayer? Now, I want to say that in the Bible, there is a strong, long tradition of separating us from them. I want to recognize this. I want to deal with it. As a matter of fact, uh, the whole Hebrew Bible is built around this tradition that God has chosen the Hebrew people. God's chosen us and not chosen you. This is the underlying thread of so much that's in the Hebrew Bible. The chosen and the not chosen. The Christian scriptures pick this up in this way. They'll talk about who are the elect, who are the damned, who are the saved, who are the lost. You're very familiar with this kind of language, this way of breaking everybody down into us and them. One of the most powerful ones that runs through the ministry of Jesus is this tension between the clean and the unclean. How this designation of people around us into clean and unclean came to be central, how this came to be central in religion is a great mystery. It's a commentary on the human soul and the human spirit, wanting to isolate people, separate people, find something about them that's not clean, that's not acceptable, that's not right. They don't believe the right thing. They don't walk the right way. They don't speak the right language. They don't have the right color of the skin. They don't come from the right part of the world. We're going to break them into different kinds of in and out. There's us and then there's them. This is a dominant tradition in the Bible. But you know, I've been teaching in this class Sunday by Sunday about it's not what you believe about the Bible, but what you emphasize in the Bible that's so important. And that comes into play here because there is another stream of thought and teaching and affirmation in the Bible that does not do this. It begins with the creation stories. God created humankind. The word is Adam, from which we get the name Adam. God created humankind in his image. There's one humankind. There's one race. It's the human race. We are all created by God. We are all creatures of God. We are all children of God. This is one of the greatest affirmations of the oneness. And it is this that breaks us down, prevents us from talking about us and them. No, we are all together, created by God. We're all one race. And of course, the Bible witnesses to another great oneness idea. We're all sinful. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. This is a text I grew up with. I heard preached often. All have sinned. It's not you've sinned and I haven't. We don't break down the human race into us and them when we're talking about the fallen nature, the sinful nature. We are both good and evil, all of us, in the same ways, everywhere, regardless of skin color, religion, anything. Do you know what else puts us all together? The invitation is open to all. Come unto me, all who are weary and heavy laden. The good news of Jewish religion and Christian religion is that we're all invited. The great visions of Isaiah of the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem, where people from every nation would come. This is the great vision also of the Christian gospel. And you remember the great episode of Peter on uh, the rooftop at Joppa. He was there praying. Good for him. Maybe he was praying the Lord's Prayer. Maybe it was the Lord's Prayer that inspired this vision as he got to thinking about this. Who's in and who's out? Who's us and who's them? Who's we? And he had this great vision of the sheet of cloth that was lowered, and the voice told him to get up and eat. And these were quote, quote, unclean animals. And Peter said, no, I'm not going to do that. These are unclean. And the voice of God came back to him and said, Peter, don't you dare call something unclean that I have called clean. One of the great revelations, and this was right at the center of the tension in the early Christian church, which was all Jewish to begin with. And then when Gentiles started to be baptized, challenging this division between us and them, Jew and Gentile. And the Christian gospel was always, it's no us and them. It's always we. We're always together. In creation, in the fall, in salvation, in redemption, in cleanliness. We are all God's children. And as a matter of fact, we all have the same future. Now, I know this is a little controversial for some of you because there's a great tradition in Christian preaching that the ultimate division between us and them is going to be at the judgment day. Us, we get to go to heaven and blessedness, but those people over there, they're going to go to hell. As a matter of fact, one of the comments I read this week dealt with this about Charlie Kirk and that situation. Who was saved and going to be in heaven? Who was lost and going to be in hell? This tendency to divide everybody into the saved to the us and them. If you're with us, you're in the good graces. If you're with them, you're damned. You can either latch on to this tradition in the Bible and in Christian tradition and in our history of always talking about us and them. You can do that. You can quote a lot of verses. Or you can latch on to this tradition in Christian tradition of the oneness of the human race. That this is a prayer, the Lord's Prayer is for the world. It's a world prayer. This is what's on my mind today because I think it really has a bearing on what's going on in our country. Whether we choose to continue this language of us and them, wherever we draw the line between us and them. Where do you draw the line? How do you tag people as them? Now, yes, often, we talk like that in sports. A football season has started, and we talk about our team and their team. That's right. In political races, we talk about who's running on this ticket and who's running on that ticket. When a year ago today, I was in Portugal with my family, and we talk this way. I wonder if they speak English. I wonder what kind of food they eat. I wonder if those people over there are they like us, tourists, or are they part of them, natives? And yes, even when we vote, you know, are you going to vote with us, or are you going to vote for them? Are you part of the right, or are you part of the left? Now, I want to direct you to a speech. I mentioned this last Sunday. I wrote about it in the newsletter. I hope all of you read the newsletter. I want to say that my article this week in the newsletter, entitled Charlie Kirk Goes to Heaven, is the most read article I have ever written. I've been surprised at the number of times it's been shared, both through the email and on Facebook. I want to encourage you to go read it. It's on my Facebook page. It's of course on the website at themeetinghouse.net/Kirk. But the article that I'm talking about is a speech given by the junior senator from the state of Missouri. His name is Eric Schmidt, and you can find it at themeetinghouse.net/Schmidt. SCHMITT. It's the best description I know of white Christian America. The whole premise of his speech is that America's for us and not for them. This is the whole premise of his speech. I was shocked at how forthright it was about this. That this country is for us, that is, my ancestors, the people who immigrated from my part of the world, that is, Europe. America is for us and our children. This is the message that he was giving. Now, I read it. I pay attention to Missouri. I lived in Missouri. I went to high school in St. Louis, Missouri. I was in Missouri just, I think, 6 weeks ago with my son and grandson. We went to a St. Louis Cardinals baseball game. Boy, what a great ballpark that is. We got on a boat and rode up and down the Mississippi River. We went over to the Arch. Now, I've been up the Arch several times, but my grandson had never been up the Arch. And we went up and stayed and came down again. It's a wonderful town, St. Louis. It's a wonderful state. I have driven all over the state. I have many friends, including many ministers, from St. Louis down to Joplin, from Cape Girardeau to Kansas City. It's a great state. But this is not a great senator. I provided a running commentary on the rhetoric of his speech. You can go to it, themeetinghouse.net/Schmidt. Because the first thing we need to do, and I'm going to conclude this whole session today, Sunday in the House, with 4 things that I think we need to do in America to help our country. 4 things. Number 1 is we need to tone down our rhetoric. We need to quit being rude to people and mean to people. All of us. And I'm going to tell you one word that I'm going to take out of my vocabulary. I've been using the word regime to refer to this White House administration. It's a pejorative word. It's meant to say something negative and damning about the president and what he's doing. Now, you know that I'm no fan of the president. I don't support what he's doing. But I've decided to take that word out of my vocabulary. I suspect there are words you need to take out of your vocabulary. You need to quit being mean to so many people around you. We all need to quit denigrating people and using pejorative language. All of us in America, Democrat and Republican, left and right, Christian, Jew, Muslim, atheist, we're all us. Documented and undocumented, we're all us. We are the people who live in this great land. We need to tone down our rhetoric. We need to talk more about what we need to do and quit damning other people by dividing everybody into us and them. Number 2, and I don't have long to talk about this, we need to do something. We need a constitutional amendment to outlaw gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is a legal and political way that divides us. It divides states. It divides legislatures. It has divided our Congress in Washington, D.C., so that they are totally ineffective. They can't even do their work. They cannot be the Congress that they are supposed to be because of this gerrymandering. The third thing we need to do is to say no to guns. There are too many guns in the United States. There hasn't been a lot of talk about the rifle that killed this man out in Utah. There are more guns in America than there are people. And there are some people that have whole rooms full of guns. More and more people need to say no to guns. We can't wait for the Supreme Court or Congress or the president or the state legislature or the governor to pass some kind of law to restrict this or to restrict that. We need to give up our guns. We need to throw them down. You remember Moses? He had his staff in a hand, and when God confronted him and called him to be the leader, and Moses said, "I can't do that." And God said, "Well, what is that in your hand?" And he said, "Well, it's a staff." He used it for protection and defense as well as to help him around. What did God say? God said, "Throw it down, Moses. Throw it down." Moses said, "I can't live without my staff. Anybody out here in the wilderness has to be a staff, has to have a staff, this pole that for protection and guidance." Again and again, God said, "Throw it down." It wasn't until Moses threw it down that he could become the person God wanted him to be. There are a lot of people with guns in America that need to throw them down. Not wait to some government to tell you what you can and can't do. There needs to be a mass movement of people coming to a revival meeting, listening to the gospel call, walking the aisle and laying their guns on an altar and giving them up for the good of all. I'll talk about number 4 in just a minute, but I want to report that we've had two new donors this week. Number 4 was a longtime ministerial acquaintance of mine. He's a Catholic priest in another state. Sent us $500 out of the blue. I was just so surprised. I wrote him and said, "Why did you do this? What motivated your gift?" And this is what he said. He wrote back and said, "What motivated my gift? My bishop, who happens to be a friend of mine." He said, "Number 2, I read your article about Charlie Kirk. And number 3, I heard the voice of God telling me to give." I stopped for a long time, thought about that, these 3 things. As soon as I saw on our site that he had given this money and we had reached number 74, our goal, had been 75. I've had several people call me and say, "I want to be number 75. One of them went ahead and gave and was number 72, but I sent a text to a woman in another state saying, "Well, the road's wide open for you to be number 75. And within just a few minutes, she sent number 75. I want to thank all of you, all 75 of you, from Maine to California, from Florida to Alaska. Now, I'll have more to say about this and next week, and I'm writing a personal note to all 75 of you, and I'll have information in there about our financial situation. I'll talk more about it next week, but I want to thank all of you for your support, for believing in me, for believing this message needs to be said. This is Sunday 37. They're all archived. You can watch them all. You can share this with your friends. You can link it to your Facebook page. Well, we've been in new digs today. You can see my workbench back here, and I think they've worked pretty well. I'll have more to say about that on on a future Sunday. I want you to pray for me. I want to remind you that the last thing I said last week was ask you to pray for the president and leaders like governors and mayors. And the assassination this week demonstrates how that prayer is so urgently needed by all of us. We need to be safe. I want to be safe. We want our mayors to be safe. We want our coaches to be safe, our president, our judges. We don't want political assassination. We are all in this together. Pray for the safety. Blessings to all of you today. Thank you for joining me. Be strong, stay hopeful, don't be discouraged. Be a light in a dark place. Now, number 4 of what we all need to do, we need to sing more. I've said this, you've heard me say it. And this week I've watched several people. I think one of them was Bruce Springsteen, who interrupted a concert by singing God Bless America. Everybody joined in with him. Don't you think this would be good for us? Don't you think if we were gathered in large groups, if we were to sing America the Beautiful and this land is your land, this land is my land, God bless America. Maybe you know the black song, walk together children, don't you get weary, there's a great camp meeting in the promised land. I love that phrase. Amazing Grace, maybe we should sing together. But I want to close out today with the song. I'm going to read you the lyrics and we're actually going to play it for you. Now, when you play music on this stuff, you risk getting tagged for copyright infringement, but we're going to play it anyway. This is a song called Richard Petty, who was, of course, the great race car driver. The group is called Billy Strings. I'm going to read you these lines. It's called One of These Days. Some of you know this song. One of these days I'll wake up tired of the life I'm living and feel inspired to get off my ass and be on my way. One of these days I'm going to find me a better way to live my life and carry on without the strife. One of these days I'm bound for glory, and that's the moral of this old story. I'm going to wake up and change my ways one of these days. That's a song not just for me and you, but for our whole country. One of these days, we need to change our ways, put down the guns. Welcome people. Quit calling people unclean. Thank you for joining me today. Let's listen to this music as we go out of the show, as they